Check, please.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everything Money. We're going to have a little fun in this video. We normally analyze a bunch of nerdy numbers. Paul, you're really great at that. But in this video, we're talking about investing movies that we love. I have a couple, Mo has a couple. But Paul, I'm going to start with a couple that we share together. Obviously, like Wolf of Wall Street is the industry standard out there for people who love it's just movies about business building, comedy, and I know you're in a lot of drugs, Paul, so you love that movie. But also, Paul, comment on not only that movie, but of course, Moneyball. It's not an investing movie.
Exactly. I was going to say Moneyball is my favorite investing movie, even though it's not an investing movie.
Tell us about it. Why?
Moneyball is about Billy Beane and the Oakland Athletics. It's based on the book by Michael Lewis, who also wrote The Big Short. The reason I like it is all the fundamentals of Moneyball are the same fundamentals used in investing. Going against the crowd, looking at baseball players different than everybody else, finding mispricings of baseball players. That's what it's all about. No different than the investing world. We look at mispricings of stocks and mispricing of real estate and all these other investments that are out there. And if you there's a scene in it where Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt are in the parking garage of the Cleveland Indians facility, and Jonah is explaining to Brad Pitt, he's like, everybody looks at buying players, but you shouldn't look at buying players. You should look at buying runs. And when you look at buying runs, you look at buying hits. So the same thing I look at with investments. I'm looking to buy revenue, profit, and cash flow. I'm not trying to buy ticker symbols. I'm not trying to buy a nice idea. I'm trying to buy cash flow. How little can I spend buying a lot of cash flow? That's essentially what I'm trying to do. Now, obviously, we don't know the future, just like Jonah Hill doesn't know the future of every individual baseball player, but he's looking for massive mispricings. And he's like, hey, like I said, we can pay this guy $250,000, but he has the on-base percentage of somebody making $5 million. So we want that guy. Same thing in the investment world. I don't want to pay 100 times free cash flow to buy a business. I want to pay 10 times or less that people just go, oh, I don't like that business, even though it's a fine business that's growing very slow and consistent.
Mo, I know you love Wall Street. Why is that? I actually, sadly, I haven't seen it. Paul. I haven't seen it. I mean,
you've never seen it? Oh man!
You know why? I was never into investing my whole life. So yeah, I've seen
one of my favorite movies ever for so long. It's Michael Douglas and you have Bud Fox, and it's all the insider trading that happens on Wall Street. It's just a very entertaining movie. I mean, this is what happens. You hear stories about it when the SEC busts people and stuff, but the Blue Horseshoe loves Anacott Steel. Guys, if you haven't seen the movie Wall Street and the sequel, Wall Street Money Never Sleeps, not as good. Elijah Buff, or what's his name? Elijah Buff?
No, Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf? Yeah. Not as good, but also good. It does still have Michael Douglas in it, but
you know who
Seth,
loves
you gotta
Wall Street
watch that movie.
Do you know who loves Money Never Sleeps?
Who?
Michael Moskal loves that movie.
So I thought it was a very, very good movie, but it doesn't outdo the original. Well,
the original is
Gordon Gekko.
Yeah, and listen, it's a good. The reason I like it so much is that it's to me. I remember when I first watched the Wall Street, the original movie, I was like, that's not how Wall Street really is. And now that I'm older, I'm like, that's exactly how Wall Street is.
Exactly how Wall Street is.
Yeah, it's a bunch of shady people who are just salespeople trying to get some angle on things and trying to do it. And it's like, I don't think very highly of Wall Street. I think it's a bunch of shisty, shady people, but it is what it is.
Literally, Charlie Sheen walks into his office and he says to him, he gives him some cigars for his birthday. And he takes the cigars, he smokes one of them, he takes the card and he shreds it. And he says, come on, Bud Fox, it's my birthday. Give me something good. And he wants an insider trade. And that's what he ends up giving him. But that's Wall Street for you.
He says, stop sending me information, start getting me information.
Yep.
Paul, what other movies?
Go ahead.
What other movies come to mind, Paul? For you?
Really? Is there any? Oh, well, The Big Short was a great movie.
Big Short's phenomenal.
Right. How do we not talk about that? Now, listen, guys, there are certain movies, again, I'm still kind of new in investing. There's still certain movies where I have to Google what the heck is going on. And one of my favorite movies is Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. And they basically, they short a market, Paul. So I definitely had to Google, like, what in Lord's name is going on in this scene? But what did you learn, Paul, or at least what is your take of The Big Short? I mean, so much can be.
Well, first off, I want to comment on Trading Places. I still remember the scene where Jamie Lee Curtis looks at Dan Aykroyd's hands and says, oh, you've never worked a day in your life. And I want to kill that. I just can't stand that statement. It's the most annoying thing in the world that we all sit there and say, if you don't work with your hands, you don't work. It's like, okay, well, that's great and dandy. But I love The Big Short. I think they do a great job explaining everything in The Big Short. Like there's never a part where they do these like somewhat timeouts where they bring, Robbie Margot, whatever her name is, and they have her in a hot tub explaining Robbie Margot, whatever her name is, but she's a smoke, and they explain things very well. Like the scene with Selena Gomez when she's at a blackjack table, and the people behind her are like, well, I bet you this. It's just so well done how they explain a very complicated matter in a very simple way, which is really shows how well they know the material. Like people don't understand that essence. Like if you ever are around people who try to use big terms and try to confuse you to make it sound smart, run for the hills. And in The Big Short, they do a great job just breaking it all. And then obviously the best scene ever when Steve Carell is at the sushi place with that guy, and he gets up, he goes, short everything this guy touches. And I made the analogy the other day about Kathy Wood, like short everything she touches. Basically, like, I view Kathy Wood as that person in that sushi place where she would probably say to me, well, look at my net worth and look at yours. As kind of like, I'm probably smarter than you because I have a higher net worth. And I'd just be like, short everything she touches.
Yeah, that movie really gave me the concept about not only what shorting is, but really looking a little bit deeper. Remember, Paul? I mean, we talk about my journey through investing is where my investing decisions, Paul, as you remember, was just, this sounds great. I'm buying. I mean, I'm buying Amazon, Netflix, Tesla, and Bitcoin because they all just sound like they're going to be great. And I thought, God, Paul, before I met you, I thought I was, God, I thought I was like an expert at it. I mean, in the world of,
you're an expert at it. Did you?
But Paul, have you seen
when you're making a killing and you don't know anything else? Why wouldn't you think you're an expert?
Have you seen YouTube? It's this website called YouTube.
Moron.
Paul, I was buying. I was buying Bitcoin at 3,000 a coin. I had 3 of them. Then they went up to 20 grand. As a normal person making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, you just look like you're a grandmaster wizard at this thing. And then when it went back down to like 4 grand, all of a sudden you get the calls from your friends like, hey, you told me to buy this. What's going on? And so, I think I did, Paul. How funny, right?
Listen, it's that, Gary Mashuris wrote an article where he talks about bubbles, and then we're in, he says, these are the indications that we're in bubble territory. And one of which was a student in his value investing class writing him an email about how he doesn't understand Tesla. He's like, listen, you don't get Tesla, Gary. You're missing this, 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 and this. And none of it had to do with fundamentals. It just had to do with the story. The story is always great in everything. Alibaba had a great story at $310 a share, and now it has a terrible story, even though all the terrible things today are the same things that were there at $310. We just focused on different things. We can always find a good story and a bad story. You're telling me a company like Microsoft doesn't have great things going on? Of course it does. I can tell a great story to it. But then where does that stop? Where does that story stop having enough value? That's the problem people don't get. They just think good story must be worth whatever. And they're like, well, I don't really mean whatever. Well, that's what you're doing. When you don't have a fundamental basis for how much is enough, then you're just saying whatever price is good. Doesn't matter. As long as you can buy it, it's good. And that's what causes bubbles. And I do think there's a lot more bubbles than Monish believes in the stock market right now. I do think the stock market in general is a bubble. I don't agree that it's only 20 companies. I think it's a lot more than 20 companies. Now, are some more bubblish than others? Absolutely. Is he right that he says, well, Microsoft, there's a story behind Microsoft? Yeah, he is right about that one. And it's not selling for 150 times earnings. I get that. But how much more? 35, 40 times earnings for a mature company, to me, is more than double what it should be. Okay, so at that point, is it only a bubble if it falls 90%? I don't know. 50% drop seems like a big drop to me. So we'll see. It's just, that's what makes investing so interesting, is because there's a different interpretation of everything. And it's about breaking out all the noise. And in my opinion, the noise is 99% of what's out there. To me, I look at the fundamentals of the business and say, okay, even when the business was great, there were bad things. And even when the business was bad, there were great things. So you just have to sit there and pull out all the noise and say, what am I really buying here?
That's our take on movies, guys. We'll keep you updated. Oh, go ahead, Mo.
I got two more.
Oh,
You got to watch
great.
the movies Margin Call and Too Big to Fail. Too Big to Fail was so good.
Oh yeah.
Too Big
I gotta
to
write
Fail
these
takes
down.
it's Paul Giamatti, and he plays Ben Bernanke back in the financial crisis, and Hank Paulson it's such a great movie. That is a very good movie. So if you guys are stuck inside for whatever reason, go ahead and watch
Go for
Margin
Grace.
Call and Too Big to Fail. Great movies.
Margin Call.
And Neil Kashkari is actually from Stowe, Ohio.
That's right.
He's the Minnesota. He's a Minneapolis Fed chair.
Fed chair. That's right.
And he's from Stowe, Ohio, over here. And he went to Western Reserve Academy, and he was very instrumental in that 08 crisis. And there's a chance that guy is the Fed chair at some point in the future. And it's pretty kind of neat because he was so instrumental in that whole thing.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Seth here, jumping in real quick. We'll get right back to the video, but I want to let you know you can join our software. You can get access to this financial data and the new Everything Money chat right in your phone. Paul will tell you how to get it right now.
So guys, we created the software because our users wanted to be able to analyze their own stocks without having to wait for us. So we put hundreds of $1,000s, made the software. You get 30 years of financial data. You get access to Seth, Mo, and I. You get the 8-pillar analysis, the stock analyzer tool, the retirement calculator, and you get everything on this main page that is coming soon. This is all included. And if you look right here, these are all the things you get. You get everything on a mobile phone. Everything we're talking about here is ready, available on your mobile app. One app for everything. But most importantly, guys, you get our Discord, our community of, now it's off of Discord. It's right in our app. You get a community of over 6,000 people you can talk to every single day about your investment ideas. If you're like them, you felt alone having these ideas about investing that weren't reciprocated by others, but now you found the community here. And this is all available for only $1 per day. Less than a cup of coffee. If this can make you 1 or 2% or save you 1 or 2% of losses every year, it will lead to hundreds of thousands, if not millions. $1 per day, 2 ways to sign up. everythingmoney.com or Patreon. The benefit of everythingmoney.com is we're not large enough yet to charge sales tax, so you won't be charged sales tax quite yet. And look at this, guys. You get all of this. Our competitors are a lot more money and don't provide as much. $1 per day. Go sign up now.
That's a take. Final thumbs up. We'll see you next video.